In this video, I want to talk about profit maximization in short run in perfect competition market. There are two different ways that we can basically maximize the profit in this market. The first one is kind of straightforward, is how we calculate profit in general. And this method is called total revenue and total cost approach. So basically what you do is you calculate your total revenue, which is your price times quantity. You calculate your total cost. Remember, you can calculate total cost from two different ways. You can add your total fixed cost and your total variable cost, or if you have the average total cost, you can multiply that by quantity to get your total cost. Total revenue minus total cost will give you the profit. So the main issue that we have in perfect competition market is basically how the businesses find the optimal quantity to produce, because they are all price takers. They have to accept the price, so they have no control over the price whatsoever in the short run. So we really do not discuss the price because price is given. But it is important for businesses to figure out their quantity, how much they should produce. They can at least control their quantity. To get that quantity from this method, you first calculate your profit. You look at the highest profit, and then from there you can find the quantity that gives you that maximum profit. That quantity is your optimal, perfect, ideal quantity to pick. Make sense? The second approach is called marginal revenue and marginal cost approach. So for this approach, you should calculate the marginal revenue, which is the additional revenue that the business can get by producing or selling one more unit of output. You should calculate marginal cost that we discussed in previous chapters. It was the additional cost of producing one more unit of output. Whenever marginal revenue and marginal cost are equal, your profit is maximum. And again, you can get that optimal quantity that we've been looking for. So basically, the two profit maximization approaches can help us to find a quantity that is challenging for businesses actually to find and figure out in the short run, because they cannot control the price. So to make sure that they are making money, they have to be careful how much they're producing, and to find that quantity, how much they produce, they can use either profit maximization approach number one, TRTC, or the second approach, marginal revenue, marginal cost, MRMC. Both of the approaches should give us the same answer. So this is kind of the short review over these two approaches. Of course, for the first approach, there are two important things to remember: the graph and what we mean by break even. The graph, the total revenue, total cost, you can look at the notes. Total revenue goes up as we produce more, and then we have kind of this shape for the total cost. So review that graph, is very important. And remember that we have two breaking even points when it comes to total revenue and total cost approach. The first break-even point, which is also called normal profit point, it's where your total revenue equals total cost, or when you do not have any economic profit. So the first break-even point happens at the lower level of output. Before the first break-even point, if you pay attention to the graph, your profit is a negative. However, the profit is negative, but typically the businesses keep producing to hit the first break-even point. Their profit is negative at the beginning because of the very high initial cost. So to start a business, you are gonna borrow money, you are in debt, your initial costs are pretty high. That's why your total cost is greater than your revenue, the money that you're making. So it's okay to have loss basically at the beginning when your level of output is too low, because as soon as you hit the first break-even point, you're gonna make money. Between the two break-even points, the first one and the second one, your profit is positive. Why? Because your revenue is growing. and you kind of found a way to reduce your costs. So total revenue will be greater than total cost. That's why you are making money. Again, businesses shouldn't keep producing more and more output, because at some point their profit starts to decline if they made a mistake. They have to find the optimal quantity, as I mentioned, in the short run. And from the total revenue, total cost graph, that point that gives them the optimal quantity is the point that gives you the longest distance between total revenue and total cost curves. That is the place that your quantity is the best quantity and your profit is the highest. If you want to produce beyond that point, you might make money, your profit might be positive, but your profit starts to decline. If a business hits the second break-even point, at that point, that business actually is in trouble, because after that point, we will see loss because their cost will be much greater than the revenue. So that business actually is in trouble, and it's short run, so most probably that business will not actually last that long after that point. So it's businesses, again, you can see the importance of picking up the good and optimal number of quantities for businesses. Okay. When it comes to the marginal revenue, marginal cost approach, again, check out the graph. The graph is very important that we have. But another important topic that is related to the second approach, marginal revenue, marginal cost, is the shutdown case. As I mentioned, it's okay sometimes for businesses in the short run to have loss. So how do they decide if they should deal with their loss and produce more output, or just take a little break and shut down, don't produce anything, and just pay their fixed costs and take a little break, wait for the market to change? To answer that question, we should always compare our loss with our fixed cost. If the fixed cost is less than our loss, so it's better actually to take a little break and don't produce anything. Just pay the fixed cost just to stay in business. Remember, this is short run. You do not want to leave the market in the short run, because everything changes in the short run. You're waiting for the market, you're waiting for things to change. If the price goes up, you might be able to make more money, right? So you just take a little break for a while and just wait for the market to change. And to stay in business, you have to pay those fixed costs. You have to pay your rent, you have to pay your insurance, you have to pay your interest on the mortgage that you have. But probably you're gonna ask your workers to go home and just wait for your call. You're not gonna buy any raw materials for a while, so you're just taking a little break. So if your fixed cost is less than your loss, you're gonna shut down and you're gonna take a break. The only thing that you should pay is the fixed cost. If your fixed cost, however, is greater than your loss, it's better actually for you not to shut down, because shutting down is very expensive. So it's better actually you keep producing that amount of output that you picked in the past. And I know that you have the loss, but shutting down is more expensive. So you keep producing in a hope that you hit that break-even point, okay? So that's how businesses decide when to shut down and when to produce. Remember, we have shutdown case, and we discuss shutting down when we have loss, when businesses have loss. If they have positive profit, we're not worried about that because they're doing good. Good for them. Just keep doing what you're doing. We discussed the shutdown case when we have loss, when businesses have loss, and it's important for them if they have to deal with their loss and produce, or they should take a little break, shut down, and pay the fixed cost. That's it. Thank you.